Hello, buddy.
Who are you and what are you doing?
I am Samuel Ian Ward. I like to play a bit of hockey, and I like to talk about hockey as well because I'm a hockey badger.
You are the biggest hockey badger. Considering when I first met you, you were like, no, I'm not a badger. You are.
I am a badger, don't you worry.
So, first off, really simple, short sentences. How did you get to becoming a senior international hockey player?
Short sentences. I can talk for days, don't you worry. Get your pillows ready. Basically, I was working back at a car dealership back in Loughborough from the age of 18 to 23, and during that time, basically, I started playing National League hockey for Beeston. I then at 20 I drifted across and played for Loughborough because obviously it was a bit more local and I was working in Loughborough, so I played for them for a year and a half. Actually didn't finish the end of that season and just kind of took a break. I wasn't enjoying it really. Had a bad shoulder injury as well, which happened after quite a few refreshments. I managed to tear my ACJ in my shoulder. And then a year or so later, I was playing for Beeston and I had a cracking year. I think I scored 25 goals in the league or something around there. And we were also in the Euro Hockey League. I scored a few goals in that. And briefly after that, I got a phone call from Bob saying, would I like to come in for a trial?
Nice. And then had a pretty decent debut as well.
I mean, yeah, my England debut can't have gone any better. Obviously scoring two. If I look back on reflection, obviously I wasn't even picked for the tournament.
Yeah, I remember that actually.
I was still a bit chunky. I needed to lose some weight, and actually going out to Bhubaneswar, I kind of was lucky. I got the taste of international hockey when I wasn't really good enough, and it spurred me on to become a better person in general.
Yeah, because we started to get to know each other back then, and I remember you like getting into the program and getting involved then, and like being pretty buzzing to get that opportunity. And like I think from then on, you've just taken every opportunity with two hands and like just not looked back really.
Yeah, no, exactly, and I think that was it. I won't forget for that tournament, despite on reflection now looking back and going, I wasn't good enough to be picked. Obviously, it still hurt quite a lot. I trained hard. I'm not gonna lie. After 2 months, I rang home and said, I don't think I'm cut out to be an athlete. It hurts too much. Every day I was in agony. I was still carrying a bit of timber. I kept pulling my hamstring, and that was kind of that. And it wasn't that easy for me. And I remember the night we found out on the Friday about selection, and we were playing on the Saturday. I was playing for Beeston at the time. We'd got Cannock away at 6 o'clock.
What a delight.
Yes, that was probably the bit that hurt most. I've got to play there. But no, I text psychologist saying I don't think I want to play, and he said, come on, go and prove him wrong. And on the Saturday night, we played Cannock 6 p.m. We'd actually got a cup game on the Sunday. On the Saturday, we beat Cannock 3-1. I scored like the perfect hat trick. Scored a penalty stroke, penalty corner, and open play goal.
What a dream.
And then I came off the pitch and in an aggressive state decided to text a psychologist saying he can stick his where the sun don't shine. And that was the mood I was in. And actually me and Ollie went out for a few quiet ones that evening. And I remember the next morning we were getting our kit on to play in the cup. And I think that day we played Hampton and Arden in the cup, and it's still known, I think, as Beeston's ever biggest win. It was 25-0 to us in the cup. I scored 8. I missed a stroke on the full-time whistle to score a 9th. And I probably should have scored 25. I was awful. So it's quite funny, really, when you think someone's like, you had a great day. I was like, I was awful. Like, it was embarrassing. And I remember at half-time, Matt Taylor going mental at us and was like, what is wrong with all of you? You're awful. I think it was like 6-0 at half-time. But we all decided to perk up for some reason in the second half.
So how did you get into hockey? Because, again, I think this is quite interesting for some of the guys, because I think so many of you guys like haven't necessarily come traditional routes, and I think that's quite interesting to hear about.
So yeah, obviously I got into hockey because mum and dad, I think they met through hockey. Don't hold me to that. I tell everyone that, but I just think, but I forget what's going on in my own life, so I can't remember what's going on in my parents' life. So it's one of those. I ask them again, then they tell me again, and then I forget again. So it's a bit hard. But yeah, so I just remember getting my first hockey stick age about 4 or 5, or 4. I just would go and watch them whack the ball against the fence, and kind of always really enjoyed hockey. I actually played in goal and centre forward to probably the age of 14. And the reason I didn't really pursue a career in goalkeeping, because I'm not the tallest bloke. It probably suited my physique of being more of a chunkier lad at the time, but not really my height. So yeah, that was kind of that. And I kind of I played, we won the under-9s nationals with Beeston, with under-11s. We had a super side back in the day. And then kind of, I missed that I originally started out at Leicester Hockey Club. Leicester Ladies Hockey Club, if I'm completely honest. Me and my sister were the first 2 junior members there, so let's not forget them. Drifted over to Beeston at the age of 9. We won a few national titles there. I think we won the under-13s, the under-15s, and that was kind of where I stopped for a bit. I lost real momentum in hockey for a while. I played for the Midlands all the way through. I grew up playing with Ollie, Willars, Chris Griffiths, Dave Condon. We were all on the same Midlands team, really. Obviously all from the Midlands region, so we kind of grew up together, a lot of us. And then I never got picked, so like Grifter got picked for England under 16, Dave did, me and Ollie didn't, and for me, they always said I wasn't big enough. I was obviously a little chubby kid. So yeah, and that was kind of that. And then I kind of reinvented myself at about 18, as I said before. I wasn't playing hockey at the time. I was playing a bit of local league football.
Keen cricketer as well, aren't you, bud?
I absolutely love my cricket. I don't know how that's going to go now with one eye, with the ball bouncing up there, but that's something we'll discover. I don't think I'll be catching much, especially the skiers.
Yeah.
I'll be more of a hazard than I will any good. And then yeah, I obviously drifted back in, started playing for Beeston, got in the first team. I have a lot to thank to Zach Jones, if I'm completely honest. I'll never forget him giving my debut. I played for the 2s on the Saturday, and I got a phone call saying Jamie Parker, who's one of our strikers, got a hamstring injury. So I was playing at Surbiton away the day after. Well, we all know I love Surbiton. But we basically travelled down to Surbiton. I think Adam Dixon and Sam Dixon got stuck in traffic. I had to start up top, actually. And I think, if I remember right, we lost 5-3, but I remember a fair few bits. Actually, I just played pretty well, to be fair. Looking back on it, I had a good day. And we trotted off the side of the pitch, and as you do, you go and stand on the grass and have a chat at Surbiton. And I got called over by Zach and by Big Griff. And he said, what are you doing next weekend? And I was like, don't really know. I don't know, maybe a few quiet refreshments. And he was like, no, you're coming to Paris. And we got the Euro Hockey League. And basically they pulled me into the squad to basically be, to play in that. So actually the following weekend I played against, we played against Leuven, Paris Saint-Germain. We beat 1-2-1, and we drew with the other, I think 1-1, which put us through to the next round.
That's a decent set of results playing those guys.
So we qualified, but I played in both games, quite a lot of minutes, and yeah, that was that weekend I'd played 1 National League game in my life and 2 Euro Hockey League games, so it was a bit of a weird start. As we all know, I like to do things a bit backwards, and yeah, kind of that was kind of my career from there, and it just kind of developed on from there. The bit I did probably miss earlier is I did get a sniff. Andy Halliday gave me a chance. The boys were away. The England GB boys were away. I think it was in India. It was the old Hockey World League finals, and they were away in the January, and it was the European A Division indoors out in Austria, in Vienna. Vienna is in Austria, isn't it?
Yes.
Thanks. I said it and I thought, oh my God, I've had a shocker here.
Good geography. Geography with Sam Ward.
Not okay. Anyway, moving on. Played in that, and me and Chris Griffiths, actually, that was where we got picked. We did well in that, and it got fed back to Bob, and actually that was in the January 2014, and that's when in April, May we did. So there's also a big part of my career to play to Andy Halliday as well, because he kind of gave me my first sniff and kind of fed
Top
back.
draw, that guy.
Yeah, absolute legend.
So let's get on to the elephant in the room. Your wee knock on the head.
The elephant in the room. One-eyed elephant.
One-eyed elephant. Firstly, like, how are you now? How's kind of the rehab and stuff been going? Like, how's that all going?
Not out. Anyway, that it's been an interesting time, let's say. It wasn't easy.
No.
It's been stressful. You have your ups and your downs, and it's how you kind of deal with it day in, day out, and you handle yourself. I think the main thing through it all is just perspective on everything. I mean, it happened. There's no hiding behind the fact once it happened, it happened. It was no one's fault. It really wasn't. Probably, if anything, my own, for my sheer stupidity. But that's why I do what I do, and that's why I've scored the goals I have for playing like that. So I wouldn't kind of knock any of that. I think, obviously, it was painful. I have lost central vision for good. But at the end of the day, I can still live a perfectly normal life, and I am doing it at the moment. And I think that's the way I kind of reflect on it all. There's people in a lot worse situations than me. I've lost central vision in my left eye for life, but it is what it is, and life's what you take it for. And I mean, I'm sure it's taught me a lot about myself. I mean, I went on a trip to South Africa on holiday to watch the cricket, and actually that was just an extra few days given off to me by Danny, which probably has put me in the best mental space possible. Now returning, and then obviously I came back. I landed on the Thursday morning, first week after Jan. The boys have been back in from Monday. I arrived back, I landed at 5 to 7 in the morning. I got back, chilled out, went for breakfast, and on the Friday I met Sophie, our physio, and we said, what do we do? Do we delay it? Do we delay what we're planning to do? Do we gamble now, or do I just sit back, hold my hands up and go, career's done, it is what it is? And I kind of said, the fact I'd been and refreshed myself away from Bisham and away from everyone really, kind of in a country on your own for 10 days. Yes, obviously Albury, my best mate, was there with his family. I still spent a lot of time on my own, and I learned a lot about myself. So it kind of meant that, I mean, I'll tell you the truth, there was one night I was out there and I stayed in my hotel and got Deliveroo, like I would here.
Yeah.
But actually, like, even that night, I spent a lot of time thinking about what was going on, what had happened. I don't think I've really accepted how big a scale what happened was, like 6-7 fractures in the face and having your face removed, basically, and stitched the whole way through. I probably have underestimated the whole surgery process because I'm in it. And people probably don't realise that. But we set a great plan that week. We said 4 weeks of getting fit. So I took the first 2 by doing double sessions up at Fox Hills, the golf club in Ottershaw, one of the two. It's near Cobham. Once again, words on for me. And basically went and trained up there for a couple of weeks. And then I returned to Bisham 12 days ago. During that time, I've lifted hard. I've ran really hard. I've had some great support. I think the biggest thing I learned is the difference when you're in rehab with others. So I spent a lot of time with Emily Defrond and Sarah Haycroft, who they were in rehab, and we were doing our running sessions together every day, and we were all in the gym together. Obviously in the gym we had all the other boys that were behind as well, so that was great. But I spent a lot of time with them, and it was just great to almost train with other people. And I started to do back to the hockey stuff, just some trapping and shooting. And then that's kind of developed this week into, I did fitness testing Monday, a bit of training, and then actually I managed to get it out there with the EDP boys on Wednesday night, corners yesterday, and a full small-sided game session last night. So we're on the way up. I think the biggest thing I learned was I don't know whether I'll make a full international return, but at least if I have to walk away, I can hold my head proud and say I gave my best shot. Whereas if I didn't and I just walked away, there'd always be that kind of burning in the back of your head going, why didn't you give it your best shot?
And I think that's one thing I really respect about you is, you know, you never do things by halves. If you're doing it, you're doing it. But you know, people will take, you know, maybe say, oh, he's being what he's being extra, is this and that. But that's because you give a shit and you want to do stuff and you want to live life to that, like, to the max. And I think that's, if you're going to do something, you're going to do it. And I think I've got so much respect for you for that.
I think it's, if I'm honest, it's why I've got to where I have now. Like I said, I'm openly honest about the mental health side of things, and I often find things difficult. I do, and everyone thinks, but he's the most confident person in the world. Well, actually, anyone who knows me, and as you do quite well, you know that actually there's Sam Ward hockey and there's Sam Ward. And I think it's something that I've learned about myself and working with Katie Warren, the psych who's working with me at the moment. It's actually accepting the differences and stuff, because I go and play sport and I want to win and I put my heart and soul into it, but there's never ever I will not walk off the pitch, shake someone's hand and have a beer with them. And that's how I see it, no matter kind of what's gone on, unless it's, I mean, next level extreme. Just a good battle and tussle out on a sports field, there is nothing wrong with that. Go off, have a beer and accept it with people. And I think that's the tough thing, is actually having a personality that is very out there, and that's what makes my game. And the kind of lack of fear and just getting stuck in and being passionate, you take that away and I'm half the hockey player, because there are so many more better technical hockey players than me, and I'm the first old man's up. People say you do some great things. I'm not afraid of trying things, but also I can stand there and say there is probably in a squad of 30 at the moment, I reckon 25 are better than me technically on the ball, carrying the ball and stuff, but I have my way and I make it work.
Yeah, and I think it's really important, just going back to that kind of that mental side. I was like, we go back, we're good mates, and having seen you through the harder bits and seen you through the good bits as well, the one thing that I keep coming back to with you is actually how you have that ability when you are down, you do bring yourself back up to it. And I think this latest one, you were saying about perspective, there's been a couple of posts where you've kind of said about other people and actually how that's kind of readdressed it's hockey, but actually there are other people out there that have got bigger issues. And I remember you saying about some of your fans and about how that's kind of readdressed the balance a little bit.
That's what I mean. Obviously, as I said, as I've openly spoke about little Alfie, who plays for Luton, who obviously has a form of leukemia. He's been suffering quite heavily, and actually, I'll be completely honest, I had a message from his mum last night, and they had a bit of a scare, which could have gone either way over Christmas, which I didn't know about, which actually, it's quite interesting, because that actually hit me quite hard last night, because I was like, why haven't I checked up more? Like, I was away, I went away on holiday, like I didn't send a message or whatnot and check up and stuff, and obviously to know that actually quite upset me, and I was in a way disappointed in myself, because you do become, you feel part of it and you really want to do everything you can. And I kind of said that, and I've spoke to his mum today, and I said I hope to get across to see him next week. Bless him, and he's the most lovely lad you'll ever meet. And actually, who knows in anything in life what can happen, and it's always putting things in perspective and realising that there's probably someone worse off than you, and at the end of the day I can live a perfectly good life. Like this I can say is shit. But it's not going to affect my life. The only thing it could affect is me losing hockey. And I'm still me as a person. I've still got my family, I've still got my friends, and I can go on to pastures new and do something that I want to do. And that's how I kind of see it.
Yeah, and I think there are so many people out there that have got so much love and respect for you as Sam Ward, not Sam Ward the hockey player. Like, you will always have that kind of network and support around you, which is which is pretty phenomenal, let's be fair. And I think that's a testament, not because you also give so much more than you take. And I think some people, you know, when they get to becoming this, that and the other, lose track of that. And I think, again, something which you do really well is you always still have time for people. Like, I've never known anybody have so much on yet still have time for a coffee and a catch up and going for a beer or whatever. So,
but I think I'll put that down to the way I've been brought up. To be fair, like, mum and dad are great, and I'm very, very, very. I'm very close to mum, but I'm very, very close to dad.
Yeah.
And I always have been, and growing up, and he's just always taught me the right way around things. And to be respectful.
And your sister's the same with that as well.
And my sister, obviously, bless her, she always goes under the radar. She's not the favourite child. Like, it's really hard. And she may have just had a kid, but it's either Esme, her little kid, or me. Nikki doesn't really exist. I like to say it because it makes her really angry. But yeah, and that's kind of that. And I think the one thing also, I think there's a person I owe a lot to, more than anything as well, who supports me for a lot, is obviously, as you know, Angus Porter and Gate Porter. They support me more than anyone. I've got a home away from home kind of down here, and no matter what happens, it's like sometimes you've got a second set of parents down here. As I jokingly say, I've got mum number 2 and father number 2 down here. And I think even especially around the head injury and stuff, and having to be down here more for operations and bits and bobs like that, having people like that look after me. And then on top of that, I don't think I'd have got through it without obviously James Albury, Ollie Willars and Ash Jackson, because obviously spending time and living with Ash, and on top of that, then Albury, like when I first found out about the losing sight for good, left work and was at my house before I even made it home by an hour. I was in an Uber on the way back, and Ollie the same. But I think the biggest thing about the friendship with those three is when you get to a point where they can have the uncomfortable conversations. So through this journey, they even had one behind my back early on. Obviously, I'm doing everything I can to come back, but accepting that I might not. And I obviously accepted it very hard early on. And then obviously now, as we're seeing, there's kind of, it's growing, but it's still them all the time kind of saying to me, look, Sam, this still might not go your way. And as long as you're still prepared and mentally can accept that, so we're not going from sky high to rock bottom to sky high to rock bottom, they actually managed to come up to me. I mean, I got a text from Ollie saying, meet me in Cooper's in 15 minutes. I went to see him, and he just basically said, I've got to get this point across. We've all had this discussion, blah, blah, blah. And actually, it was brilliant. But it was that kind of thing, and it was the same yesterday back on the pitch with Albury, who I could turn around and ask him how he thought I did, and he could sit there and say, I knew he would tell me if I was terrible. I knew he'd tell me if I was good, and if there's anything different, he sort of like. And that's the kind of when your friendships are that good that you can take that. I think that's great. And I'm not going to lie, they often say things that really, really annoy me. Yeah, I know they're right, but I just don't want them to be right.
You just don't hear it. Yeah. So what's next for Sam Ward?
I think just continuing working hard. I think it's going to be an interesting few months. I think Tokyo around the corner. I just working as hard as I can. I think day in, day out, back at Bisham, hopefully back in 2-3 weeks' time. I hopefully go back to club now. Play a bit of one-eyed hockey, as I'm like to call it. I think I make a lot more of a joke out of it than other people realise. Get my goggles on, get all my specky jokes in.
I'm excited for the goggles, mate. I'm not going to lie. Check out Sam Ward's Instagram.
I mean, the lads kind of started straight away yesterday. I put them on, and your 3 best mates inside stop calling you specky, and you're like, cheers, lads, you're really making me feel happy about these.
I think you'd be concerned if nobody said anything at all, mate, and that would be a bigger concern.
I mean, I think it was more last week that I was training with the girls a bit, and they didn't give me abuse, and then I go back to the lads, and they gave me abuse. I was like, this is what I forgot about. But yeah, obviously that's what I'm just going to do. Keep grinding away day in, day out. It's a long shot, but I mean, as we keep discussing, it's me, and I don't like to do things in an orthodox way. I went to the last Olympics with 2 eyes. I might as well go to this one with one.
Who needs to, mate?
I mean, probably me. I'm going to be asking for another back.
Nah, you'll be fine, bud. You'll be fine. Mate, I think, like I said, so much admiration for you and what you've kind of going through and everything else and kind of moving forward. And I think it's been really good to actually have you on just so that you can share your story and share your side of things. Because I think with the hockey world and everything else, so many people, like, as you know, the rumour mill goes round and there's no one actually saying exactly what's going on. So actually, I think it's been good to get you on so actually you can give your side and kind of give it a bit of an insight into actually dealing with the ups and downs of sport. And actually that's useful for anyone, and whether it's even just a hamstring tweak or whether it is something more serious. Actually, there is life outside hockey and there is perspective on things which need to be got. So I think it's been amazing to actually hear. You know, obviously we talk about it a lot anyway, but actually it's been really nice to actually chat about it in this way, and it's definitely got me thinking about a lot of stuff anyway. But no, thank you so much for being on. Is there anything you want to say or go through for anybody else? You got a minute left. Anybody you want to say thank you to that you maybe haven't?
I mean, I think if I'm completely honest, I probably said it out loud on Sunday at the Copper Box when you had a lot of the hockey family out there, is I don't think I could have expected the support I received. I mean, the way people have been, the messages I've received and stuff's been unbelievable. And as I made so many jokes, and even the joke on BBC Breakfast, I didn't realise how many people liked me. And I still stick by that more than anything. But it's much just that, and I think then it's family, friends, close family, friends in betweens. Basically, and just everyone's support's been humbling. And actually, when trying to come back right now, you have that in how much people have supported you spurs you on even more. And through the tough, dark days, you remember that actually there's a lot of love out there. It's not the end of the world, but you're going to give it your best shot to try and do it for not only myself, but teammates and others and people that have got me to where I have now.
Mate, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. And everybody's behind you on the rest of your journey, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.